The night everything changed. I was still wearing my work uniform when my sister shoved a screaming baby into my arms and drove away without even asking. I hadn't agreed. I hadn't planned. And as I stood there in my doorway, exhausted after a 10-hour shift, listening to my nephew scream into my shoulder, I realized something that made my stomach twist. This wasn't helping anymore. I was being turned into a parent for a child I never chose to have. And when I finally said no, my entire family turned against me. I love my nephew. That's what makes this whole thing so painful. Because this story isn't about a baby I didn't want. It's about a baby I loved so much that I let his mother slowly turn me into his second parent. My sister is 5 years younger than me. When she got pregnant at 21, everything fell apart fast. The father disappeared before she even hit 6 months. Blocked her number. Denied the baby was his. Vanished like he never existed. I remember sitting with her on the couch while she cried so hard she couldn't breathe. She kept saying, "I can't do this alone." And I told her she wouldn't have to. I meant it. When she went into labor, I was there. I held her hand through contractions that lasted hours. I slept in a crooked plastic chair that felt like it was made of concrete. My neck hurt. My back hurt. But I stayed. And when my nephew was born, I cried. Actually cried. Because he was perfect. Tiny fingers. Soft breathing. Warm little body wrapped in a hospital blanket. I loved him instantly. And maybe that was my first mistake. The first few months were hard. Really hard. Postpartum hit my sister like a truck. She'd call me at 2 in the morning, her voice shaking. "He won't stop crying. I think I'm a terrible mom." So I'd drag myself out of bed and drive across town half asleep. Sometimes I didn't even remember the drive. I'd hold the baby while she showered. Or slept. Or just sat quietly staring at the wall. I brought groceries because she kept forgetting to eat. Milk. Bread. Fruit. Diapers. Formula. I told myself this was temporary. Just until she got back on her feet. That's what family does. Right? But slowly, something changed. The calls stopped sounding like requests. And started sounding like instructions. Instead of, "Can you come help?" It became, "I need you to watch him." And eventually, not even that. Just, "On my way." One night still sits in my chest like a weight. I had just gotten home from work. 10-hour shift. My feet hurt so bad I could barely stand. I hadn't eaten all day. My phone buzzed. A message from my sister. "On my way. He's fussy." That was it. No question. No asking. Just a statement. Before I could even respond, she was knocking on my door. She handed me the diaper bag. Kissed the baby. And walked away. Like it was completely normal. I stood there frozen, holding a screaming baby while she drove off into the night. I remember looking down at my work clothes. Still smelling like the restaurant kitchen. Grease. Sweat. Exhaustion. I bounced him on my shoulder while eating cold takeout at midnight. And that was the moment the thought hit me. Clear as anything. I didn't choose this. But it kept happening. Again. And again. And again. I canceled plans with friends. Missed birthdays. Skipped family events on my dad's side. I even used PTO from work because daycare fell through. One day my manager pulled me aside. He said carefully, "Is everything stable at home?" I knew what he meant. My performance was slipping. I was tired all the time. Distracted. Late sometimes. And I realized something terrifying. This situation wasn't just taking my free time. It was taking my future. Financially. It got worse. Diapers. Formula. Baby wipes. Clothes. Toys. I even paid a doctor copay once because she didn't have enough. Every time she promised to pay me back. Every time she didn't. And every time I hesitated. My mom would say the same thing. She's young. You're her big sister. Family shows up. Like that ended the conversation. Like my life didn't matter. Then came last week. The moment everything finally broke. My sister called me casually. Like she was asking to borrow a sweater. Can you keep him Friday to Sunday? I need a mental health weekend. Friday to Sunday. 2 full days. Like I was a daycare. Like I was a co-parent. Something inside me just stopped. I said no. Just no. Silence filled the phone. Long silence. Then she said, "Wow. So I guess I know who I can't rely on." And that sentence hit harder than anything before. Because suddenly, after everything I'd done, I was the bad person. And that's when the words came out. Sharper than I meant. Heavier than I planned. "I love him," I said. "But I am not his second parent." Silence. Then I said the sentence that changed everything. "You chose to have him." I didn't. She started crying. Real crying. Saying I didn't understand. Saying being a single mom was impossible. Saying I was abandoning her. But for the first time, I didn't apologize. After that, my mom barely spoke to me. Short answers. Cold tone. Then one day she said, "One day you'll need help too. And you'll remember this." Like a warning. Like a curse. And I realized something. They weren't upset because I was wrong. They were upset because I stopped making things easy. But the hardest part wasn't them. It was my nephew. Because when I imagined stepping back completely, I felt relief. Real relief. Like breathing after being underwater too long. But then I'd picture his little face. His laugh. The way he grabbed my finger with his tiny hand. And I'd feel sick with guilt. Because he didn't choose any of this either. He was just a baby. So I made a decision. Not revenge exactly. But boundaries. Real ones. I told my sister. No more surprise drop-offs. No overnight stays unless planned in advance. No more paying for things. No more emergency babysitting unless it was an actual emergency. At first she got angry. Said I was being dramatic. Said I was selfish. But I didn't move. Not this time. And something strange happened. She figured it out. Daycare. Friends. Other relatives. Programs. Options she somehow never had before. Because before, she had me. A few weeks later, she asked me politely. Actually politely. "Can you watch him Saturday afternoon?" And I realized something. For the first time, she respected my time. My life. My boundaries. And when she picked him up that evening, she said something I never expected. "Thanks. I know I asked too much before." Just a simple sentence. But it meant everything. Because for the first time, I wasn't the second parent anymore. I was just his aunt. And that felt right. Loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing your entire life for them. Sometimes the hardest thing you can do for family is say no. Because boundaries don't destroy relationships. They save them. If this story hit close to home, let me know in the comments. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? And if you enjoy real stories like this, subscribe to Story X Daily for more emotional and powerful stories every day. Because some stories are stranger than fiction.